Hello, I'm Lisa Lord, and in our news tonight, a local company stands to lose big financially from the ban on single-use plastics. Victims of domestic violence continue to struggle for justice. A primary school student adopts an elderly man who has fallen on hard times. An assurance there's no need to fear the amendments to the CARICOM bill. And in sports, All Saints and Mount Tabor in the early lead of Knapsack.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC News Night, starting now.
In our top story tonight, Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley is asking citizens to make positive choices when raising children. She's concerned that bad decisions are being made that can erode the foundations laid by the island's forefathers. The Prime Minister made the comments at the opening of the $2 million Chesterfield Brewster Centre in Silver Hill in Christchurch. She's been speaking as the island battles a surge in youth violence and crime.
Part and parcel of our responsibility, you parents, aunts, uncles, fathers, godfathers, godmothers, brothers, sisters, all of we, is that we have a duty to raise up our young people. And we have a duty to raise up our young people in the way in which their lives can be productive and in where they can make a difference.
In the meantime, Youth Minister Adrian Ford has called on youth to put down the weapons and to take care of that new centre.
We're not only telling you to take down and put down those destructive weapons, but we are giving you, through opportunities like these, the opportunity to pick up the tools of empowerment. You have to believe in the fact that you as a Barbadian, that you have this opportunity, this once in a lifetime opportunity to carry your candle and light up the world.
Well, the ban on single-use plastics is already having an effect, even though it is not yet in place. Our Sharika Griffith joins us live now with that story. Good evening to you, Sharika.
Good evening to you, Lisa. And we've discovered that at least one local supplier of plastic products stands to lose in a major way when the ban on these items comes into effect on April 1st. Manager of Direct Packaging, Vernalyn Mitchell, told CBC she still has hundreds of cases of products to be sold.
With less than a month to go before the ban kicks in, the management and staff of Direct Packaging have found themselves with a serious problem. Aisles of plastic plates, bowls, cups and styrofoam containers that in less than a month will be outlawed. Manager Vernalyn Mitchell says some of them were ordered as far back as August.
We got to buy in advance because everybody's wedding don't happen tomorrow. People plan differently, so you have to have, especially our color stock, we have to have it in. And no one came to us at the time and said, well, you know, this is the situation. They didn't. We only hear it by the fluke on the news.
Ms. Mitchell says she was eventually contacted by a representative of the Ministry of Maritime Affairs and Blue Economy, but she believes not enough consideration was given to businesses like hers. Even with a sales team on the road, advertising and discounts on the items, she's still left with an overwhelming amount of stock. Now, we also spoke to some vendors who use products like cups, forks and styrofoam containers in their day-to-day business. Some believe the April 1st deadline is much too soon.
Give them a couple more months, let it get off the stock, and then they could deal with that day. But for now, I don't think they should charge people after April 1st and that kind of thing. It doesn't make sense. A lot of business gone flop, I guess, or gone drop down. Enough people gonna be out of work too.
Others say they will make the necessary changes when the time comes.
I shop the same place, and they have already put something in place already. I look at it, and I don't know how it's gonna work, but I have to try it as we go along.
What about the cost? Did they give you any indication as to whether they'll be more expensive?
Obviously, they're gonna be more expensive, but you have no choice. You still have to buy them if you want to be in business.
And some complain their usual suppliers have so far not offered an alternative.
They tell me they're waiting to see what's available. I heard about biogas, cups and stuff like that. So I have yet to see them. So I don't know next month what's going to happen, if I'm still going to be in business or if I'm going to look for another route.
The ban was officially announced on January 22nd.
So Lisa, there's just over 3 weeks before that plastic ban takes effect. But as you heard, vendors who rely on those products to ply their trade, and at least one supplier, Direct Packaging, have some reservations. Many are hoping for more time to get their business in order.
No, I'm sure you spoke to the vendors, but what are the average people saying? What are consumers saying about this ban on plastics?
Well, Lisa, back when the ban was first announced, we had actually taken to the streets and spoken to some of the people. And from what we heard, it seems that the average Barbadian fully supports the ban, as they believe it will help reduce the pressure on the landfill and generally cut down on the amount of litter which ends up in our gullies, in our gutters, and even in the ocean.
And thank you so much, as always, Sharika. Well, although laws against domestic violence were made tougher about 2 years ago, advocates are still struggling to get justice for women in these situations. And President of the National Organization of Women, Evelyn Broom Christie, says this is simply not good enough. She tells CBC News last year alone now spent a significant amount of time helping women who are victims of domestic violence, but they are still not getting the kind of justice promised by the law. Her comments also come on the backdrop of 3 women being murdered in January.
Even though the law has been adjusted, you still cannot get the system to do for you what it ought. So women still come away still feeling scared, like they have to watch in and watch their backs, still feeling like they have been abused all over again, still feeling like their rights have been violated. So that is definitely one area. Now, we cannot say for sure that the deaths that we've had for the year, we haven't had enough info about them to fully state categorically that this is a domestic violence situation. However, we wonder what kind of intervention would have made a difference there.
And Ms. Broom Christie does acknowledge that there have been some improvements in the way domestic violence cases are handled with the implementation of the Family Council, but she says it's still not enough.
The Family Council is very small and very limited, and as a result, even though you can expect change, you cannot expect enough. So then we are forced to challenge that all of our legal police officers need to be empowered and need to take the sanctity of life serious enough to understand that domestic violence is not necessarily just a little quarrel, that if left unaddressed, what we might be looking at for the next call might be because there's a death.
Well, the theme for this International Women's Day is Balance for Better, and partner with KPMG Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean. Lisa Taylor says that the firm is striving to make this a reality. She was speaking at a cocktail reception to celebrate International Women's Day. Ms. Taylor notes that the future can only be inclusive if there is a better balance of diversity.
We interpret it as a call for collective action to build a future where everyone feels included and where diversity is encouraged. Inclusion and diversity are 2 distinct concepts. Diversity is getting a seat at the table, while inclusion is having a voice at that table. Diversity is extremely important, but without inclusion, we will not be able to fully unlock the potential of everyone in our workplace, marketplace, and community.
Meantime, Alison McLean, who represents UN Women in the Caribbean, says on the international level, the 2030 agenda goals will not be achieved unless women and girls, as well as the private sector, are all on board.
In addition to gender equality being a fundamental and inviolable human right, women and girls' empowerment is essential to expanding economic growth, promoting social development, and critically enhancing business performance. The full incorporation of women's capacities into labor forces would add percentage points, quite a few percentage points in fact, to most national growth rates, double digits, some people say. Further, investing in women's empowerment produces the double dividend of benefiting women and children and the society.
And we say hello again, this time to Sharika Griffith, who is very busy in our social media corner to tell us what is trending. Good evening, Sharika.
Hello again, Lisa, and welcome to What's Trending. First, let's wish all the women out there happy International Women's Day. Now, we always like to highlight our young people doing great things. In the upcoming video, you'll see Kayla Nugent, a Class 1 Wilkie Cumberbatch student with a heart of gold. Each day, Kayla makes sure an elderly man she saw begging on her way to school gets breakfast, which she makes herself.
Every morning, she brings him breakfast. We don't have to pass this way, but I have to divert every day to bring this elderly man his breakfast that this little girl has prepared. It is 3 weeks now that she has undertaken this duty, and I pray that God will continue to bless this little girl.
And thanks to Deborah Scott Nugent, who submitted that video. She says Kayla has more or less adopted the gentleman and continues to go out of her way to give him breakfast, even though it means she gets to school late sometimes. Well done, Kayla. Now, Barbadians have been vocal over the years about the topic of zoning in our school system. The discussion heated up again on our Facebook page recently. This following a comment from a senior education official. He had said some children are forced to endure long commutes just because their parents do not like schools in their zone. Let's see what the public has to say. Angela Jones says she's been through the experience of zoning. She's a past student of the St. Lucie Secondary School, which has been renamed the Darrell Jordan Secondary School. She says she's gone on to gain many significant achievements, and it's not the school which makes a difference in the path a child takes, but the individual's mindset. Ione Mitchell says she doesn't think the current system is well thought out. She says, in her opinion, the ability to walk from home to school or to have easy access to public transport should be a major consideration in how the zones are mapped out. Carol Marshall tells us what happened to friends of hers. She says they were given the option of a school in St. Andrew for their daughter when they live in Christchurch. Carol says it's not fair to blame parents as no options in their catchment area were available. She revealed that the student has to leave home as early as 6 a.m. and gets in around 6 p.m. as a result. Now, the sharing of graphic videos is another issue which generates a lot of discussion here and around the world. It's quite common actually, but many people think it shouldn't be. Well, in Denmark, authorities have launched prosecutions against 14 people, 6 of whom are between the ages of 13 and 18, for sharing a video believed to show the murder of one of 2 tourists in Morocco. The tourists were hiking when they were attacked by a group of men thought to be linked to an Islamic State group. Authorities have spoken out against sharing the footage, but to no avail. It was distributed widely on social media and even forwarded to family members of the victims. Be careful what you share. Social media isn't all bad though. You can use it to celebrate and share good moments. If you're a football fan, you would know that once a goal is scored, many players have special dances or ways to celebrate. Well, check out this video of footballer Mario Balotelli, who plays for a French club. He's making headlines for the way he celebrated after scoring a goal during a recent game.
Et vous pouvez aller voir sur ses réseaux sociaux, c'était prévu, il avait dit s'il marquait un bon but, il faisait un direct sur ses réseaux sociaux, Balotelli. Et bien voilà, c'est marqué. Il ouvre la marque ce soir, 1-0 pour l'OM, signé de ce joueur, Mario.
No doubt, social media is a big part of our lives nowadays. Well, that's all the time we have for What's Trending tonight. Remember, you can send your comments to our WhatsApp numbers at 233-7388 or 233-7555 and our Facebook and Instagram pages, or to our email at nca@cbc.bb. Remember to keep your comments clean. And we'll see you next week for another look at What's Trending. Lisa, how about young Kayla Nugent? I'd say that's such a wonderful story to share on International Women's Day, don't you think?
Totally inspiring. We need more of that in the world. And as they say, a little child shall lead them.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Sharika, indeed. Well, Barbadians need not fear the amendments to the CARICOM bill. Information Minister Senator Lucille Moe says that many Barbadians gained benefits from working in other countries.
You would hear people saying, oh, people come to Barbados to seek employment, but the same thing obtains for Barbadians. They go all over the Caribbean and seek employment and get employment quite readily. Let me say so. I have never had any problem getting a job in the 7 Caribbean islands that I have gone to work in, and none of the people that I know have ever had a problem.
Well, interregional travel will soon take on a brand new look. 4 new CARICOM member states have signed on to the Multilateral Air Services Agreement, and 9 new member states signed the declaration to provisionally apply it. Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM, David Comachong, says that that's the good news to report from the 30th intersessional meeting of the Conference of Heads. He says that a comprehensive, efficient, reasonably priced and safe interregional Caribbean travel mechanism is fundamental to a Caribbean community.
This is an agreement that is designed to create one single aviation space within the Caribbean, to liberalize that space, to make it extremely easy and as obstacle-free for Caribbean companies and entrepreneurs to get involved in developing or running aviation services within our region.
Over in Guyana now, opposition leader Barrack Jagdeo is accusing President David Granger of sidestepping his responsibility to appoint a date for general and regional elections. And he promises not to meet again with the president if that date is not on the agenda.
The country is now in the countdown to general and regional elections, as prescribed by the Constitution, as a consequence of that no-confidence motion against the government that was carried in the House last December 21. The executive and the opposition have varying interpretations of the legislation that prescribes what must be done in the wake of a successful no-confidence motion. The executive is saying that the country must be governed at all times, and the opposition is saying that it cannot be business as usual once that no-confidence motion is carried. Opposition leader Barrack Jagdeo is threatening to plunge the country into a state of despair if the executive fails to submit resignations within the next 2 weeks.
We will advocate for Parliament not to pay anybody. We will also, any resources used by the ministers in that period, we will treat it as personal expenses to be recovered later. When the trips that they make into the hinterland, etc., we will see that as unauthorized use of state money and therefore recoverable in the future through different action, through civil action, through deduction from pensions, etc. So there are a whole slew of things that will come. But before that, I've started lobbying for what the president lobbied for in 2014, international sanctions.
Band leaders in Trinidad and Tobago say that they were caught off guard by a new category to the carnival results. That category, Overall Band of the Year, was added this year. And according to the band leaders, they were not even aware that it existed. Peter Christopher reports on what the stakeholders are saying.
Ronnie and Caro band leader and former Band of the Year winner Ronnie McIntosh said he had no issue with K2K taking the title, but he was concerned by the lack of transparency concerning the announcement of the new category. The NCC said it was decided after a meeting with band leaders, but McIntosh and several of his peers did not know about the decision until the results were announced.
Even though you had that meeting and you made that decision, then at least the media should be informed, so that even though, let me say, there was a meeting and I wasn't present, then at least when you inform the media, then the public, is informed, so we all know. But
when contacted, leader of the Lost Tribe, Valmiki Maharaj, said he too was unaware of the new category. But band leaders of K2K Alliance say, while they saw the category was listed on the website, they had little idea what it was about. McIntosh, who won 3 large band titles in a row, before being dethroned by Lost Tribe, also wished there was more clarification about the requirements for the title.
Like if Renegades win Panorama, then a small band could get Best Playing Band then. Basically how it came out is like, well, we're not telling you what we plan to do, we're telling you what we did.
However, NCC Commissioner Rosalind Gabriel said it was all in the rules and was available to everyone.
It was in the rule book, the overall Band of the Year, a list of all the competitions that were being judged for Band of the Year was in the rule book, and that's there, it's listed there. I know it's a busy time, but probably they missed it.
Gabriel said the change was made to encourage all mask makers to showcase their innovation with the knowledge that despite the size of their band, they could win the major prize.